Welcome back to Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this beautiful waist drape gown. It's actually a BUBU kaftan. So I'll be showing you how to go about the sewing of this beautiful kaftan. Please stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. So here I'm making use of 3.5 yards of crepe fabric. Fabric is crepe. You can also use duchess. You can also use silk fabric to sew this. So I'm using 3.5. So I'm going to open up the 3.5 yards right now. So from here to here is my 3.5. I'm going to put them together. So after putting it together, I will have this part on fold. So I'm going to pick up the folded part and I'm going to match it up with the other folded part. So the part on fold now is my shoulder line. So I will arrange it very well to take my necessary measurements. So this is my shoulder line where I'm touching right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a border line. So just go ahead and create 1 inch border line from the center front to the end of the shoulder line. So after creating your border line, we'll be taking our measurements right from the border line, which I'm creating right now. So I'll go ahead and place my tape at the center front, center back, and I'm going to take the full length of this at 26 inches. You can also take the whole length of the 3.5 yards if you want. So my shoulder divided by 2, I'm marking it at 8 inches. Then my sleeve length is at 18 inches. You can make it 20 or 22. It depends on choice. So I'm making use of 18 inches right now. So from that 18 inches, I'll go back and I'm going to take the measurement of where I'm going to pass my arm. So there I have 14 inches. So divide it by 2, I have 7 inches. So I'll come back from there and mark 7 inches for my sleeve opening. So at that point of my sleeve opening, I'm going to, so from that point I have 18 inches and I came with that 7 inches right now, which is my sleeve opening. So I'm going to create the neckline at 3 inches and the neck depth is 1 inch for the back, and I'm going to connect the neckline for the back. Then the neckline for the front, I'm using 6 inches, and from that 6 inches neckline, I'm going to connect it to the 3 inches neck width. That is for the front. So I'm cutting both front and back neckline together, as you can see. So we've created the neckline depth at 6 inches and the neckline width is 3 inches. So the next thing we are going to do is to take the measurement of the full length of this gown, starting from the border line. I'm going to place my tape on the border line right now, and I'm going to take the full length of this gown. So the full length of this gown is your desired length. For me, I'm using 60 inches for it. You can also use 61 inches as you desire. So on that hem line of 60 inches, I'm going to measure my hip circumference, divide by 4. I'll mark, then I added 4 inches to it. So after adding 4 inches to it, I'm going to connect what I have on that line to the sleeve line. I'm going to connect it diagonally. So I come in with my long ruler right now. I'm going to place my long ruler on that line I marked on the hem. So I'm going to connect it all the way to the sleeve, as you can see. So I'll just mark a straight line diagonally from that sleeve point to the hem line. So I'll keep marking it, as you can see right there, to the hem line. So just place your ruler diagonally and ensure you cut it out, you mark it out accordingly from shoulder to hem. So I'm done marking it. After marking it out, you can see what we have right now. So we have the diagonal line now, all the way from that hem, from that hem to the shoulder line, as you can see right now. So here is the neckline for the back. So from this point right now, where we have our sleeve, that 7 inches we marked for our sleeve, I'm going to place my tape and get the midpoint. So whatever the midpoint is, I will mark it. Then I'm going to come down from that border line where I mark the midpoint. I'll come down by 0.5 inch and connect like a canoe line. So just like a canoe line, you can see how my hand is moving, as you can see. So now I'm going to cut from that neckline. I'll take it into the sleeve line, as you can see. So I'm starting from the hem to cut right away. So after cutting out that side, I'll cut the neckline for the back. Okay, then I'm going to add half an inch on top of the border line for my seam allowance. So once I get to the sleeve area, which we measured at 7 inches, I'll cut the canoe shape, as you can see. So this is what our cutting looks like. So your kaftan is supposed to look like this, having a little V shape. So now I'm going to take out what I have at the back. So we'll be able to create the drape at the front and cut out the neckline at the front as well. So I'm just trying to put it together nicely, so I'll be able to cut out the neckline and take the measurement of the drape. So for the drape, it depends on where you want that drape to be. So for me, I'm starting from the shoulder line and I'll mark my waistline. So my waistline is at 17 inches. So I will mark at that 17 inches right now. So that is where we are going to have the draping. So if you want to open up the center front, it's all by choice, and stitch it back. Okay, then you cut out the neckline, is all by choice. But for me, I'm not opening the center front area. I'll just open the drape part and the neckline. So on this 17 inches now, we want to create our drape. So you come in with a square fabric of 11 inches by 11 inches. I have two of them right there. It measures 11 by 11. Then place it on the first fold and place it on another fold. Then I'm going to measure from this folded point 5.5, 5.5. I'm cutting out a circle anyway. So I'll just take the 5.5 from that point all around. Then I'm going to cut out the circle. So we'll be using this circle for the drape. So here I've cut out my circle and I have two circles, as you can see. So I will pick up one of the circles right now and keep the other circle. So I'm going to come back to that 17 inches point and I'm going to fold my circle fabric. As you can see, I'm placing it on a fold, just on one fold and on another fold to get the midpoint. So just place it on the midpoint and open it up like this. So go ahead and secure them with your pin, which I've done right now, and make sure it matches on the center front line. And I have also marked that point of 17 inches again. So mark 3 inches. Just take a radius of 3 inches. You can see me moving my tape from that 17 inches, I'm marking 3 inches. So just go ahead and curve the 3 inches and then cut that 3 inches out, as you can see. So I've cut it out right now. So I'll be using the upper fabric as a facing. So like I said, if you want to cut out the center front to join the neckline, you can do that, but for me, I'm not doing that right now. So I'll just go ahead and cut out my neckline. So next, after cutting the neckline, is to take off my pins and open up the part we want to drape. So at this circle, this is the right side anyway. Like I said, if you want to cut out the center front and join it back, you can do that too. So I place it right side to right side, secure with my pin. After securing it with my pin, I will pin all around, then stitch on my machine. So here I've stitched all around and I'll place my notches around it too. So make sure you place your notches for ease of turning. So I'll just go ahead and place my notches all around. Then after notching that part, I'll just take it in like this and I'll go over to the machine to stitch at 1/2 inch, but I'll first secure them with my pins. I'll make sure I secure with my pins before I stitch. So I'm done securing with my pin all around and I'll take it to the machine. I'll leave 0.5 inch and then start stitching 0.5 inch all around. So I'll be showing you how I do this. So here on my machine, on that mark of I made at 17 inches, the mark is still reflecting right there. I'm going to take 0.5 inch. You can see me measuring it. So I will leave 0.5 inch open and top stitch. Then I'm going to sew exactly at 0.5 inch. So make sure you are sewing 0.5 inch around. Then once I get back to that mark, I'll top stitch. So I have 0.5 inch open to insert my bias. So next is to go over to your machine. If you have a steam iron, give it a good press. If you don't have, just place a piece of fabric with steam and iron it nicely. So after ironing this nicely, it makes it relaxed, nice and flat. So you can see what we have right there, looking so beautiful, and we have the 0.5 inch opening. So the next is to come with our bias. It measures 24 inches and the width is 1.5 inch. So I'll just go over to my machine and fold the first and the second and sew my bias. So before we insert the bias, we are going to create a facing for the neckline. So my facing now, I'll place my fabric on fold and I have a piece of fabric which I will use for my facing. So this piece of fabric I have, before I use the piece of fabric, I want to extend my neckline a little bit. So I just extended it to 6 inches. So my facing right now on fold measures 5 inches on fold and measures 9 inches on length. So you just go ahead and place it at the center front. As you can see, secure with your pins and then cut out the facing. So that is exactly what I'm doing right now. So make sure it matches with the center front before you cut out. So I'll secure it with my pin now and I'm going to create my facing accordingly. So I'm cutting out my facing, as you can see. So I'm going to lay my fabric now right side and I'll place my facing right side too and secure with my pin. So I'll go over to the machine now. After securing it with my pin, I'm going to stitch at 0.5 inch. So you can see how I'm going to stitch now. So once I get to the midline, I'll raise my presser foot. So Here I'm done sewing and I'm going to place my notch. So make sure you notch at the center front and notch all around as well, so it will be able for you to turn. So I'll flip my seams to the facing and top stitch, give it a good press, which I've done right now. So my neckline is quite very much ready. So I'm going to create the facing for the back as well. So for the facing, I'll also fold it into two like I did in the front, and I'm going to bring a piece of fabric of 5 inches on fold and 4 inches length. I'll place it also to the center back and secure with my pin. Then I'm going to trim out the neckline. So I'll also curve it, as you can see. That is for the back facing. So I'll open my fabric to the front and place my facing right side to right side, secure with my pin, go over to the machine, and I'm going to stitch all around. So make sure you secure it with your pins accordingly, so by the time you go to stitch, it will be very easy for you. So here I'll secure it with my pin and I'll stitch at 0.5. So I'm done stitching. I'm also going to place my notch accordingly. Then I'll flip my seams to the facing and top stitch. So here you can see what I have. So the back is ready now. So we'll come back to the front once again. So here we are going to use our bias and insert it from that 0.5 inch using my safety pin. So I will use my safety pin and pass it under the opening of 0.5 inch I created. So once I've passed it, I'll make sure it comes out to the other point where I started. So you can see me bringing out my safety pin. So that will help to drape that part for us. So make sure you drape it to the circumference you want. So that is what I'm doing right here. So once I arrange it to the circumference I want, so make sure you give it a nice drape. So that is what I'm doing right here. Just take your time, arrange it very well till you get what you want. So I'm still holding it at the back to create a nice drape for it. So once I'm done draping to my taste, I'll go ahead and stitch that bias. So I like what I have right there, so I'll just go ahead and stitch, just back stitch and back stitch at that point. So I've done that to secure the bias. So I'll cut it off, as you can see. So here our drape is secured, as you can see. So the next we are going to do is to bring back the other circle, place it right side to right side. Place it right side to wrong side, just to make sure that the right side comes out to the front. So just secure it with your pin, as you can see. Just secure it across the drape, because we are going to use the right side of this to cover the drape. So you can see my pins, although they are very small, but I use it to hold them all around. So I'm going to stitch around it now. So here on my machine, I'm going to stitch following the same stitches I made before. So make sure you lay the circle flat so you don't stitch on top of it wrongly. So I'm going to take my time to sew around this. So make sure you follow the exact stitches you made before, but this time around you'll be stitching on the drape. So I'm going to take the drape stitches all around until I get back to the point I started. So if I get to the point I started, I'm going to backstitch at that point. So you can see what I'm doing right here. So I've backstitched and we are done. So if you look at the front drape, it's actually looking beautiful. And if you look at what we have at the back, you can see we have some excess circles. So I'll just take my time to trim off this circle, but I will advise you reduce the circle before you stitch. Okay, so you don't cut out your fabric, damage your fabric while trying to reduce the circle. So but I'll just take my time and lift it up and cut. So after trimming it to match up with what we have on the lower circle, which we used for our draping, I will take it to my weaving machine and I'm going to serge the both together. So I'll just pick up the both together and serge right now, match them and serge them as one. Okay, so I'll go to my weaving machine. So now you can see I've serged them and it's looking so beautiful. So this is what the front drape of this dress looks like now, and we are done with the front. So next is to match the back neckline to the front neckline. So I'll just pick it up on the facing. You can see how I'm matching it up. That's how I always like to sew my facing. So I'm going to sew 0.5 inch from there down. I'll repeat the same the other way. So our neckline is ready now and it's looking neat and beautiful. So you can go ahead and tack that part or you use your hemming gum. So coming over to the sleeve right now, I'm going to use my bias to finish up the sleeve. So I'll open up the sleeve right now, place my bias, and I'm going to stitch 0.5 inch and turn it. So here my sleeve is ready and I gave it a good press as well. So I did that for the other sleeve also. So next is to sew the side at 0.5 inch to the end, and we are done with this dress. So I'll go over and stitch 0.5 inch. So I've stitched the 0.5 inch now. You can see how the dress is looking now with the drape. This dress is actually very beautiful, and this is the sleeve as you can see. So now you can go ahead and hem the down part of this dress. Thank you for watching. Bye.